All right, guys, so I'm going to talk to you now about the hardest part of your paper, which is HAPPs. HAPPs are where you use the source line to try to figure out what the argument can be continued or how the argument can be continued. So the source line consists of four different parts. There are these four parts right here. One is historical situation, one is audience, one is the point of view of the author, and the other is purpose. I'm going to say of these four, purpose is definitely the hardest because you have to understand the literary intent, which is why they are writing this. So this is a combination potentially of the source line as well as some of the literary focus of the source. So if you're not a strong reader, I would maybe ignore purpose a little bit and instead just focus on these three. So historical situation is when in history this is being written, and can you in some way take the information of how this is being written or when this is being written and be able to continue your argument? Can you take who the audience is and continue your argument with that, or can you take who is writing it and continue the argument with that? Now, important things to note for this, to do a HAP correctly, you only choose one of these four. All right, so you're only either going to focus on the author, the purpose, the audience, or the historical situation. Then what you do is you explain first what that element is. So if you're doing author, for example, you're first just going to give a little bit of insight on who that author is. If you're doing audience, you're going to explain who that audience is. And then the final thing you have to do is you have to address the thesis. You have to address the argument. You have to explain how this is proof that your thesis statement is correct. You're not going to get credit if you don't do that. Next thing to note, for some documents, you can't do a HAP. It's not giving you enough information. It's not telling you who the author is, what the situation is, what the objective is, so you just can't do a HAP for it. The most common sources you're going to want to avoid because of that are graphs, charts, lists, and pictures. Pictures sometimes can be used because they could be something like a propaganda picture, and so therefore it will have a clear objective and you can talk about the purpose. So let's go ahead and just do an example so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Let's say your prompt is this. Evaluate the extent of change in ideas about American independence from 1763 to 1783. Let's say your thesis is ideas about American independence change due to protest movements and because of already established ideas in the government. Your argumentative paragraph order would go topic sentence, introduction, summary, HAP, analysis. So let's go down and look. So let's say for this document, you have Samuel Adams. It's written The Rights of the Colonists, 1772. So first thing you're going to write down is your topic sentence. And again, the topic sentence is just telling me what part of the thesis you're talking about. So your topic sentence would say you're talking about protest movements, which it clearly does right here. Then you introduce the document. Document 2 is written by Samuel Adams. And then you give me the summary, right? And that's all in red. The blue part would be your HAP. So I'm going to do point of view of the author. So Adams was the political leader of the Sons of Liberty. All right, so that's me identifying who he is. He's the political leader of the Sons of Liberty. But I need to also connect this to my thesis. So how do I do that? And the growth of the group alone during this time shows that the American independence was a growing idea. I could have even just said the existence of the group during this time shows that American independence was a growing idea. But basically the fact that his group is growing shows that American independence is growing. All right, and then you finish off with analysis. If you had multiple documents, like say document 2 and 3 were both about protest movements during this time, what you would do is you would then do document 3, intro and summary right here, and then you would do analysis. So it goes between either your summary and analysis, or if you're doing multiple documents in one paragraph, it goes between the first document and the second document that you're doing. This is hard stuff. Not everyone's going to get it the first time, but the more you work on it, the more it's going to make sense. Again, the biggest thing is you want to make sure you do is identify the element and then address it with the thesis.